Okay, we're going to go get started. I don't know what to do with myself with all of this quietness. This is the first time I've been in a quiet space probably since we've moved. So my name is Allison Fambro. I am team leader for Sensible Serendipity, and we're going to talk about utilizing essential oils with your kids, from your wee babes all the way up to your teenagers. I love utilizing, I have little kids from 2 to 14, so we use our oils quite regularly for all of these reasons. All right, so just a little bit of background, or a disclaimer, if you will. I'm a mom to 4 kiddos. My husband's in the Coast Guard, and so we get to travel around the great United States, courtesy of the Coast Guard. What that means, though, is that I am not a medical professional. I am just a mom. That's the only fancy initials behind my name. However, I am an incredible enthusiast for all things natural, and for advocating that you understand that your body was created to work perfectly, and that we have tools that we can use whenever certain things come into play, like environmental factors or personal choices that we didn't realize were going to have such detrimental effects to our health. We have natural tools that we can use to help us get our bodies back on the path that they already want to be. And that path, that word, that means that path is called homeostasis. Okay, so that's the center line. That's where we want to be. Okay, so we're going to talk about today using essential oils with children. We'll start off talking about that. You talk about using oils with babies. As with anything, us mamas or parents, we want to make sure that anything that we're using is safe, it is good for our child. And as today's new parent is inundated with a laundry list of rules of things that they are discovering is not safe anymore or is not good for your child anymore. My first 3 pregnancies, my first 3 children, they were all 4 and 5 years apart. And so each pregnancy was like being pregnant for the first time. There was new rules for everything. Doctors had all these new things to say, and I was completely dumbfounded. I could eat one thing with this child, but that was, going to cause some kind of irreparable brain damage with the next child, and so on and so forth. So we all want to make the best choices that we can. And that's one of the reasons why I love utilizing essential oils as part of our wellness toolbox. To make sure that we can not necessarily struggle so much with the what ifs and the what fors for the the poor packaging, the poor ingredients being put into our children's things. There's been recalls on medications for children. There's been recalls on formula for children. There's been recalls on all sorts of things, and that has to do primarily with a lack of oversight and a lack of attention to quality. And that's one of the reasons why I love utilizing Young Living essential oils, because of their seed to seal process. Seed to seal in and of itself embodies quality, embodies making sure that what we as parents want to put on our children is the best thing possible. It is the highest quality, and it is the safest that we can possibly bring to them. So first question that everyone usually asks about essential oils is, what exactly are they? Well, essential oils are the lifeblood of the plant. You can go out, I'm here in the South, we like to pick peppermint and put it in our tea, but you can pick a peppermint plant and you can rub and crush the leaves, and you can smell it. That smell that you smell, that is the essential oil of the plant. That's the lifeblood of the plant. It also helps the plant to rejuvenate. It acts as the plant's immune system, and it also helps the plant protect itself from extreme heat and extreme cooling. So the cool part about that is that we get to utilize those same properties when we are using our essential oils. And they're very, very concentrated. And so some people might say, now, they're so concentrated. Are they safe to use on children? You wouldn't, do I need to do anything to them? Well, for the most, the answer to all of that is yes. Essential oils are incredibly safe to use on children. With any essential oil, for many of your cases, you're going to want to do something called diluting the essential oil. And I have to grab my carrier oil in just a second. But diluting the essential oil or adding a carrier oil to it, all that means is that you are putting something that kind of acts as a time releaser for the essential oil so that the body can acclimate to using it and metabolizing it better. Okay? So what types of dilutions do you want to use with your essential oils? Well, you can go on the internet and you can Google, and everybody has opinion just like their belly buttons. But I love to utilize the information that Young Living and Dr. Deborah Rayburn offers when concerning dilution. And dilution comes with, you have to know your own child. You know your body, you know your child's body, you know what you need to do for that child. You know what you need to look out for. And so, but everybody's like, but I've never used essential oils before. Where do I start? Okay. And so a good general rule of thumb is 1 drop of essential oil per 20 drops of carrier oil. Let me grab my carrier oil with me really quick. I'm sorry. Grab that. It's over there next to my watermelon. This would be an example of a carrier oil. We have walnut oil. You can use fractionated coconut oil, regular coconut oil, anything like that. So really 1 drops per 20 drops of carrier oil. And now that is just a super, super diluted method. Okay, that's kind of like a starting point. All right, Young Living even has on their website where you can just kind of gauge the visual of your bottle. Oh, I just ripped that off. You can have like 1/8 of the bottle and then fill the rest with a carrier oil if you're wanting to pre-dilute an oil for your child. And then it goes on and up as your child gets older. Now, if you put 1 drop of carrier oil, 1 drop of essential oil into your 20 drops of carrier oil, and you don't see a result, and your child hasn't changed, there's no reactions, there's no anything like that, then, your child may need more oil. And when I say more oil, I don't mean like put on the oil. Put a couple more drops in, because 20 drops of carrier oil is a lot of carrier oil to have within there. Now, some of you may be saying, well, 20 drops, counting out 20 drops, yes, that's a nice, great number, but do you really do that? Well, no, I don't personally. I'll tell you what I really do, and my children actually can do this for themselves. I make chapsticks, lip balms, out of beeswax and coconut oil and shea butter, and this turns into our carrier oil stick. And so what I'll do, let me grab an oil. Say we'll do peppermint. Peppermint is frequently touted as one of those, in certain circles, as one of those, ooh, you better stay away from peppermint for children under a certain age. Peppermint is a fantastic oil, although peppermint is, in fact, a very strong oil. It's very uplifting. It's very, open your eyes type of thing. So I may not reach specifically for peppermint oil my first go round for anything that I want to support my child with, but peppermint may be the only thing that I have. So do I just not, do anything with that? No. So you take your carrier oil stick, your chapstick, and you just put it on your spot. Go ahead and put the cap back on so that way that you're not goopy. And then put your drop of peppermint oil on and then rub it in. And so what that does is that carrier oil absorbs that peppermint oil and it acts as a slow time releaser for your skin. And so carrying around, and then I can turn around and I mean, it's family. I'm not going to do this I'm not going to share my chapstick with anybody. If I have chapped lips, I can go for it. So that's just one of the ways that that we utilize some of the stronger oils if we feel the need to. What are some other stronger oils or precautionaries that you might want to take with children? Photosensitive oils. Your citrus oils are primarily photosensitive oils, so you're not going to want to lather your kid in a nice lemon lotion and then send them out in the sun all day long, because it just makes them a bit more sensitive to the sun. So you're going to want to use a different oil for that. That doesn't mean that you can't. That just means that you have to use your brain a little bit and think about what you're going to do. What are some other ones? There are oils that are not necessarily dangerous for children, but they're unnecessary to use all the time for children. And that would be wintergreen, eucalyptus globulus, and again, peppermint. Those are your more opening oils. There's constituents in there that people are concerned about, but they're not. They have been later found out that those constituents naturally forming in the body, they don't have any problem, but they are heavy-hitting oils. Wintergreen is a heavy-hitting oil, and so on a small child that there's relatively nothing going on with, you don't need to. It's not dangerous. You just don't need to. There's no need to go there. What are the alternatives if you want to use these oils? I look at, especially for peppermint, I actually use lavender or frankincense in lieu of peppermint. In lieu of eucalyptus globulus, I use the eucalyptus radiata, and that's found in our Thieves products, and it's just great. Radiata is a little more gentle, and gentle smelling, I guess is the word to use. Eucalyptus globulus is kind of like the rhinoceros smell of the eucalyptus, and so it's very opening, and it smells wonderful. Pair some eucalyptus globulus with some lemon and it's in the diffuser, and it is just great stuff. All right, so what else do we have here? I have not found the need to use wintergreen on a young child, so therefore I have not found the need to find an alternative. So that's there. If I did find the need that I needed to use wintergreen on a younger child, I would that's when I would take out my carrier oil and I would dilute. So, all right. So, do you always dilute? Well, there's actually certain cases where you don't dilute. There are certain cases where you can utilize essential oils where you wouldn't want to dilute. You would want to put that oil in their skin neat. And though in those cases, those are like skin supporting cases. Your kids are, they grab something hot or whatnot, you're going to want to put lavender to support that skin and cool everything down, but you don't want to put a carrier oil with it because that carrier oil is going to hold in the heat. And that's simply why you don't want to use a carrier oil in that manner. So, what should you use your essential oils for? Well, you're going to use your essential oils for overall wellness, supporting their healthy lifestyle, calming, focus. you, as children are younger and they're all together with everybody, their immune system is developing, and we want to support that development, and we want to help them along and make sure that their body is able to do everything that it needs to. And that aspect also comes with the calming and the focus, because a stressed out child, stress affects your immune system and it allows you to get sicker more often. So you want to be able to use these oils to calm your child, to keep them in a nice steady state. You don't want them zombies, but at the same time, you don't want a child constantly stressed out and freaking out because of whatever's going on. Then that can affect their immune system. So we use oils to support immune system. We use oils for calming, and specifically once they get a little bit older into the school age, we use oils for focus. I like to use specifically, I have recently fell in love with Young Living's Kid Sense line. We got a few Kid Sense oils that were free a couple of promos ago, and it was really, really awesome because I had not ordered them because I know how the oils affect my kids, but they're really, really nice. I have tummy dyes here, which we put on their tummies. When they're just worried a lot. It's for that, or maybe something they haven't have eaten that didn't agree with them well. We're in the process of moving, so we are in between homes, and food is not always the most quality nutrients, and so their tummies will respond to that. And so tummy jaws is very, very good for that. Genius is another one. It's a good one for focus. It's a good one for calming. Those are oils that we love to use on our kids. I also have a special big blend here. It's not labeled because there's no way to label it compliantly, but it has Stress Away and Valor and Vetiver and lavender and cedarwood, all of those good calming oils. And this is actually an old 15 milliliter bottle that I had that I just took an Aroma Glide from Young Living, and I just popped that on there after I mixed everything up together, and I roll that on our necks. Everybody in our house gets this. But that's one of the things that's kind of like a Young Living hack, that if you wanted to, once you got down to an empty bottle, like this is an empty Stress Away bottle, I'm going to, pop the reducer off of this, put my oils in. You can put them at this mark, or the 1/8 mark if you wanted to start that way, and then I will pour my carrier oil in there. And you can get these Aroma Glide Fitments. One already came in your starter kit. If you haven't already put that on your Stress Away and started rolling away, you need to do that. But you can buy 10 of these for relatively cheap, then you can put them in there. But that's really, really great way of utilizing essential oils with your kids. We want to support them in as much as we can, because growing up is hard. From wee little babes all the way up to teenagers, growing up is hard. And we want to support the process and make it as enjoyable as possible. And that kind of brings us up to our preteens and our teenagers. Once you get to the preteen teenage stage, you're going to utilize essential oils just like you would use on your body, because their body is ready to receive it. You've been using them for a while, and so you know how their body reacts to essential oils. Responds is a better word. How their body responds to essential oils. And so, but something happens during those preteen years. Things just kind of go crazy, right? Teenagers, physical things happen and emotional things happen. Physically, their skin can get very oily, their hair can get very oily, breakouts and things of that nature. For girls, obviously, there's, for some girls, there's the breasts develop, all sexual organs start to really become sensitive and some enlarge. You have inside, what's going on inside is that you have your hormone producing organs, which a lot of times are seated in your sexual reproduction organs. Those are starting to turn on or starting to kick up with their hormones. They're starting to get them on. And I liken it to I liken it to when you're starting up a lawnmower that has been sitting up for a long time. So if you've started up a lawnmower for the very first time and you're pulling on the cord, and occasionally you'll get a pa, 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 pa. Well, that is your preteen stage. That's that ever so often emotional outburst. That's ever so often the growth spurt. That's ever so often the pimple that comes up on your 10 to 12-year-old's face. That's kind of your putt-putt, because everything doesn't just start at once. But eventually, if you pull on the lawnmower string hard enough, then it's going to rev into full force. And what does it do? Did it just turn on and start going? No, it goes pa, 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 and it really, really revs up. Well, that is your teenage years. That is your body turning on all the hormones and saying, woohoo, we are ready to go. All right. And it's just turning on the spigot. And then your body starts to kind of find out where the balance is, okay? And so there are some things that happen when all of those hormones turn on, and physically and mentally and emotionally, there are things that happen that we have got to understand what's going on. Why? Because when we understand what's going on for our children, when we understand what's going on through our friend's child, maybe we don't have a teenager yet, but you have this sulky teenager over here, or this weepy teenager over here that you just do not understand. When we understand what's going on in their body, we can give them a little grace. And we can understand that, you know what, this is for a little while. And maybe we can offer them something, a path to help pull those hormones back into a homeostasis of where they need to be a little bit quicker by processing their emotions. Also, it helps give understanding and power as a parent, because your child is not acting out necessarily because you are a bad parent. You're a good parent. You love your child and you want what's best for your child. It may allow you to not say something that you would have otherwise said when your child reacted to you in a way, because you knew that this was not a reaction of your child's heart, but it was more of a reaction of your child's body. Okay, so what are some things that happen during this time period? Well, we call it being ungrounded. All right, we call it kind of just being all over the place, because that's what's happening to our hormones. That's what's happening to our body. They're all over the place. Signs of being ungrounded are confusion, inability to focus, chronically running late, disorganized, living in a messy living space, missing deadlines, stressed out, or you just can't get it together. You ever met a teenager or a preteen that has acted that way? Just about every single one at some point has acted that way. And so that is being ungrounded. That is just your head is all over the place, and there's a lot of emotions going on there. They're unsure of themselves. They haven't quite found their footing yet as to who they are, what they want to be, because they transition from this, you supply all their needs, and then these hormones come and our maturity comes, and they're like, I need to make something of myself. Okay, I need to make decisions for myself. So how do we help them through this process? Well, one of the things that we want to recognize is the tools that are part of our body that help us to to kind of access these areas that are have our emotions and our hormones and all that other kind of stuff. And so all of our body, God has created back doors or circuit breakers, if you will, ways to access areas that are in need of our love and attention. And so if you think about it, what is happening during puberty and what is happening during these emotional stances is that all of your organs, or predominantly most of your organs, south of your belly button, but north of your knees, are being affected. All right, they're being affected, and they're all in a state of discombobulation as they're learning how to do things and learning how to be in homeostasis. Well, if you look at an anatomy chart and you look at the nerves, and you can see that our body is kind of sectioned off. One of the many awesome things about our body, from our head to our bum, are sectioned off along the spine, and there are nerve bundles that come out at various sections. Well, that space below our belly button and above our knees, right around our lower abdomen, that's a space where nerve bundles come together. And it's kind of like a way for us to talk to those body parts, and it's to talk because they are affecting our emotions, and they're allowing us to feel all the feels, right? All the feels. So that's where I apply oils. Now, maybe I can't apply oils to the belly or to the lower back or things of that nature. Maybe I can only access, check my feet, make sure. Maybe I can only access hands or feet. Well, did you know that there are maps in your hands, feet, face, and ears that correspond with your entire body? So there's another tool that is built into your body that you can use. And so if you figure that this is your body, this is your head, that around here is going to be your lower area. And so you can apply oils here. You can also, please excuse my dirty feet, apply oils here and come up around the side. That's going to be where you use your oils. Also, applying oils around the ears. Anyone who knows my children know that they are very big time in the ears. They love to just rub on the ears, and that's really, really beneficial. So accessing those points, communicating with your body, then that is just a fantastic way of helping to tell your body to bring things back into homeostasis. Okay, so what oils do I use to process those emotions when I am putting them on my ears or my hands or my feet or my lower abdomen? So let's look at some things. A lot of times you're going to use your emotional oils. Obviously, Young Living has one called Grounding. It's a fantastic oil. It smells really, really good. But this is one that I will put on my fingers and I will just rub around. And it just helps. It also helps my ears now act as a diffuser, because anytime I'm running around chasing kids, then now I get a nice little aroma. But Grounding is one. Nutmeg is a great oil. Patchouli is a nice calming oil. I don't particularly care for patchouli by itself. It reminds me of going to school at Appalachian in Boone, but I will pair patchouli oftentimes with ylang ylang. And I know some people are scared of ylang ylang because for adults, for married couples, then ylang ylang is often an attractor and whatnot. But I would encourage you to know that ylang ylang is not going to take over your children's body and make them fiends for running out and trying to hook up with everybody. Ylang ylang is a really good balancing emotionally oil. But I'll put these two together, and it's really, really good. Another one that I use from baby to teenage, well, baby to me, and this one is a very loved bottle, but this is vetiver. And vetiver is a resin, and what I'll do is especially for my my toddlers. When they go to get in the bathtub, I'll go ahead and hold this in my hand while they're in the bath and while I'm doing various things, and it kind of warms it up. That way, when they get out of the bath, then all I have to do is I just drop and rub it on their big toe. Brain power is another one. It's very grounding. While you normally put brain power at the base of the skull, a lot of your focus oils, you know, we talked about how adolescents and preteens, that they're ungrounded and so they have no focus. They're, you know, all over the place. Your brain power is fantastic for focus. And vision, again, is some blends. Stress Away is awesome, always awesome. From babies to adults, Stress Away is always a go-to. And then here's a combination that every single person should always have on hand, for your preteens all the way through your adults. If you're a parent at all, you need to have this combination. If you deal with people ever in your life, you need to have this combination. And it is Joy and White Angelica. And I call this combination my do no harm, but take no crap combo. And what Joy does for me is that I put it over my heart, and it allows me to take responsibility for my reactions, my emotions, and what I say. And White Angelica helps me to not take on everyone else's. So in the instance of a teenager, sometimes we can get emotionally wrapped around the axle, how, you know, they're responding to us, how they're acting to us, and how our children are doing this to us. And really, it's not about you. It's not about me. It has a lot more to do with what's raging going on inside. And so I need to take care that I don't react to my child negatively or out of frustration because of he's just being a jerk, because sometimes they are, or out of frustration because my 9-year-old is being overly dramatic, because sometimes she is. I need to make sure that I take care of my words and my emotions and my space. And so I put Joy over my heart every single day. And then when you have children who are preteens and teens, and you have toddlers who their emotions are big anyways, sometimes it can be overwhelming to have all of those emotions coming at you every day. We homeschool, so there is never a part of the day where they are just gone for 8 hours. My children are with me all the time. And now that we're in summer, your children are with you all the time too, so whether you homeschool or not. So it's really a good idea to have a way not to take on their frustrations, not to take on their raging emotions because everything is going on. And this take no crap. This is White Angelica, and I put it in my hands, and I'll do it right now. I put a drop in my hands, and I rub it together, and I just take a breath. Oh my gosh, it's so good. And then you pat your head and pull down the sides of your face and just down your body, and you just imagine like a shield. And that helps you to not take on anyone else's crap, basically. What can you do? What other oils that you can do? That I haven't pulled out here. Ginger is one. It's really good for, if you think about it, for girls especially. I don't know about guys. My son has never complained about this, or he has never mentioned it to me. But I know girls especially will get like knots in the pits of their stomach during this time because there's so many social norms that they're not sure what to fit into. So ginger is really good to help with those anxious feelings that reside in the pit of your stomach. Cypress is really, really good to help things. It's just really, really opening. Valor, sandalwood, abundance, and then we said grounding before. So what if you are in the process of getting your oils, or what if you're saying, okay, I have these oils, but what else should I do? There are lifestyle changes that you can implement to help your child's hormones come back to homeostasis easier. Like I said, remember, our bodies were meant to work perfectly, right? Just because it revved up doesn't mean that we keep it revved up. And a lot of times with today's society and today's eating habits, we keep our bodies revved up and they don't come down. They never come down, and our hormones are all over the place. This is why we have all these hormone-related diagnoses. So what can you do lifestyle-wise beyond the oils? Well, you can reduce your sugar intake. Reduce the sugar intake in your food, reduce the sugar intake in your beverages, reduce the sugar intake in just anything. And complex carbs. Don't eat simple potatoes every single day. So having complex carbs and things that are going to break down more slowly to limit the sugar spikes are needed. A lot of people want to utilize sports drinks during the summers for their kids because they're out at these camps and stuff like that. And that is very, very poor for their bodies. The amounts of sugar in those drinks is just terrible, and the other ingredients in there and the dyes and whatnot are just bad for them. So I love to utilize the Recipe in Chemical Free Home one, her electrolyte drink, Melissa's electrolyte drink in there. I just love that. What else do we do? Well, first and foremost, before you do anything else, before you even do oils, drink water. Water is your friend. Water is your key. Give your child water every day. And even when you think that even when they said, I've had enough water, Mom, give another glass. But that only works if you're drinking your water too. You have to expect and model and require good water drinking practices for your entire family. Give them water, offer them water. If they've been playing outside for a little bit, go give them a glass of water. Get your water containers and, make them special so that they'll want to drink out of them. You can go onto Pinterest and find all sorts of hacks that people have done to increase the water intake during a day. And so you can utilize that, because what water does is that helps flush out anything excess that we have in our body. So many of our frustrations with life, be it mental, physical, or whatever, have to do with dehydration. It has to do with us not having enough water in our body, because our body is in such need of it. So definitely, before you do anything else, have some water. Increase your protein. Wherever you choose to find your protein, that's up to you. I like meat, so I will utilize clean cuts of meat, non-fatty meats for my children. I also recognize that having a 6'2", 14-year-old, meat can get quite expensive, and so we throw in, your beans, your legumes, and a lot of spinach. There's a lot of protein that can be found in your dark leafy green vegetables, and so make sure you up your protein that way as well if you choose to have a more vegetarian lifestyle. Movement. Getting your children moving. Now, a lot of people will say, yes, we need to get them moved. We're going to sign them up for this camp this week and that camp the next week, and on and on and on and on and on. And I would caution you, because while we need movement, remember, we don't want to stress our bodies out, because that affects our immune system. And so if we plan every single day, every single moment of our day, then our bodies are stressed out. If there is no downtime allowed, there is no personal finding time, personal development time for your child to just be bored and figure out what they like. If you're giving your child something to do all day long without them ever choosing, I want to go do this, I want to play with my Legos now, or you know what, I want to go burn ants on the sidewalk, whatever. if you don't allow them to have that time to do that, then it's going to be very difficult for them to make choices on their own. And this is something that I see so many times, that we want the best for our kids. We want them to have the most opportunities because we have been so blessed as a society. But then we overschedule everything. And so I would encourage you to leave some downtime, leave some boredom time. Boredom time not meaning video games. Boredom time meaning outside or unplugged from a screen or, whatever. Be protectors of your children's time. But movement projects, we got to a point with my son that I understood now why boys went off to go do certain mission work at certain periods of their life, or why they went to go work in the fields. Because while my son may not have been personally driven to go do those things, he just lit up at the completion of a full body something he went to go do. So we have been very fortunate in our previous station that we were located at, that there was an associate pastor that was frequently remodeling something, or they had something that was going on, and he would pick my son up, and they'd go put a roof on or whatever. And so that project that he had to go do, or when my kids, we had to knock down our chicken coop, just the workings of how am I going to do this? How am I going to clean this up? Those things are very beneficial to your children, especially in those teen years, as you give them something, and you've given them a certain amount of tools, and then you just let them kind of fly with it. And it's amazing to see how centered they come back into the house, and how fulfilled they come back into the house when they have completed those projects. So those are just some tips. But that is essential oils from babies to teens. From babies, we start with a little bit of amount of oils. Obviously you're not going to need a ton of oils on your babies. When you do, as you're learning to have your oils, you dilute as you see fit. And place on the feet, place on the spine, things of that nature. As we get up into the teenage years, now we understand what's going on in their bodies, and it's incredible, and it's scary for both parties, but in the end, it's such a wonderful experience, and it's so wonderful to see God at work on not only in our bodies, but in the tools and the methods that He has provided for us to be able to use to just live a better life. So I hope that was helpful today, and I will see you guys later.